Entertainment Banter would like to remind you to stop and proceed with caution. Some language may not be suitable for some children. Or most.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a special evening of Entertainment Banter.
I'm Matt.
Thank you. And I'm Joel.
I thought you always went first.
Oh, I don't have to go first every time.
Alright, well, okay, so I'm Matt. I went first. And you're Joel.
And I went second.
You did. Alright, let's keep going.
Cool. So tonight's Entertainment Bantering will be back on Marvel. And we just saw the movie. And I'm sure when you get this podcast out, it'll already be on DVD.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For probably a year.
Probably a year. But we are talking about Marvel's Avengers Infinity War.
The first Avengers with Thanos. Oh, well, actually, that's not true, but Avengers movie.
Full movie.
Right?
Full movie with Thanos. And not cutscenes. Like, I guess Thanos was in Guardians for a little bit.
Right. I can't remember what... Even Captain America, I think, too, at the end. The little
Well,
teasers
those were
at
the
end.
cutscenes, yeah, the PSS or the PS movies. PS clips.
Yeah.
So
Joel, you know a lot more about the Infinity Gauntlet and all that stuff, so I'm going to let you go first.
I don't want to say anything that our wonderful fans are going to say against me because I may not know all the hard facts about it, and I like to feel like I read a lot of those and I don't remember a lot of them. But I feel like if we just stay silent for 25 minutes and just say we're just talking, go look it up on Wikipedia and we'll wait here.
Okay, sounds good. So I'm going to go make some brownies.
Alright, so go ahead and Wikipedia and look up Avengers Infinity War and come on back and then we'll end the podcast.
Okay, sounds good.
Alright. Really? You can't be quiet for 5 seconds?
Are you kidding me right now? This is the most boring podcast ever.
I know, people are like, what the hell? So Infinity War. So Matt, what did you...
We already have like 2 viewers, okay?
What did you... By the time this comes out, we won't have any viewers. So let's talk Infinity War.
My mom and your mom don't count, you understand?
Since
right?
Matt doesn't really have a say in this subject, I'll ask Joel about Infinity War. Joel, what do you think about the Infinity War? Well, Joel, I was a little... I liked the movie. There was a lot going on. There was a lot of action that hit hard really fast, and you didn't really need to know backstories of the characters because you already know the characters. Every character came together in this one movie, which is great. You're right, Joel. That was an excellent point. It is... Thank you, Joel. So back to the point of you asking me about what I thought about the movie. I thought it was great. I thought the action was packed. And I thought that the storyline was pretty solid. I mean, all knew what Thanos wanted, and he wanted it, and he got it. So, spoilers alert, we were talking about a lot of spoilers on this movie. A little upset that I still turned off by that Spider-Man's a child in the movie. I wish that he was more of an adult, because I do believe during the Infinity Wars he loses a leg, Captain America dies, and Bucky Barnes takes up the mantle of Captain America. You're right, Joel. But Joel, did you know also that Falcon became Captain America? He did, Joel. He did. Almost a lot of these characters in Avengers became Captain America at one point. But I do not think that Steve Rogers actually dies. I think they actually brought him back and he was just... No one ever dies in the Marvel Universe. Let's just say that. Very good point, Joel. Very good point, Joel.
This is painful.
This is very painful because I don't know which Joel I'm talking to anymore. So let's take it back to Matt.
Let's just move on. Oh my god.
But during the movie, to be honest, though, with all the nonsense about me talking to Joel, the whole... I always wanted to feel choked up. I think we talked about this after we actually watched the movie, is that a lot of movies I like to feel choked up about a movie and feel a lot of feels. During Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield and Gwen Stacy, and when she dies in the movie and he shoots the web and tries to catch her and you see the hand kind of in the web grab her and then she smacks her head to the ground so hard, but at the same time it looked like she broke her neck. It's one of those things, it was such a heart-wrenching moment, and when Peter Parker got down there, he didn't know what killed her when he finally got down there. You don't know what really killed her, and that was just like in the comics, which was so heart-wrenching. Your heart stopped, and you felt so much for this character, and you could grasp in this. But since there are so many characters in Avengers, you you couldn't just get attached to one at that moment. The only time I really felt really heart-wrenching was when, two times. One was when Tony got stabbed, which was like, oh shit, they stabbed him, because you didn't expect that, because this is Disney, this is Marvel, people aren't going to die, but people have to. So you're like, oh, they're going to kill Iron Man right now. They didn't, but you thought for that for a second. And then when Peter Parker died, essentially, and he started feeling like, it's like, Tony, I don't want to go. And then you felt this moment. And then you mentioned to me that what if the last thing he said was, Aunt May? That gives me chills now thinking about it. Like, that moment, like, realization, like, he just left Aunt May alone.
Yeah.
You know, so...
Yeah, well, you're biased towards Spider-Man. You're a huge Spider-Man
fan. A huge Spider-Man fan, but the thing is, Spider-Man's a huge fan across the board. I mean, the most famous Marvel characters, most well-known, is Spider-Man and Wolverine. So,
well, I was actually thinking of you the other day, because I think in comic world now, I think they're rebooting Amazing Spider-Man, because they hit, like, that ridiculous milestone. They're, like, in the 900s, 99, whatever it is. So I think they're going to reboot and do a 1 with Amazing Spider-Man. Do you know anything about that for sure?
I haven't been reading the comics in a long time, just because of life, and the movies have been so good. So I read a lot of things about Spider-Man, but I haven't read like a new comic with him. I was intrigued by the one you mentioned when Doc Ock takes over his body. And I started reading Civil War 2, where it's like Captain Marvel is now playing the role of pretty much Iron Man, and it's like a whole new twist, and it's kind of interesting. And Peter Parker's back in the body of Spider-Man, and Doc Ock left. Like, they leave off there. It's...
Well, that was all Spider-Verse and everything else, which was that was really a great run.
Yeah.
But anyways, we're getting off to the subject of Avengers, the movie. So
right.
It's interesting you brought up the point of you wanted to feel something.
Yes.
It's I actually didn't get that, and I don't know if it's because I'm just too literal these days when I watch something, like, because we know that it doesn't matter who's wearing that Infinity Gauntlet, right? They have the power to pretty much do whatever they want, create whatever they want.
They manipulate anything.
I always feel like that's the ultimate writer's loophole out. So, like, I feel like, in a weird sort of way, when I watched the Avengers movie, it didn't matter what was happening. I literally felt like it didn't matter, because all it takes is one good guy to get that glove on and say, Genie, for my second wish.
Well, that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
That's what's gonna happen.
So it's hard for me to feel that. But I'll tell you where I did feel sympathy is actually Thanos. And it's interesting because, I mean, we kind of know this now too, is what I appreciate about this movie is, like, it was Thanos' movie, really. I mean, it was his story, it was his side of the story. You saw what he had to sacrifice, and in all honesty, I felt more for him sacrificing Gamora. Like, he actually looked genuinely upset and hurt.
He did.
But I mean, not enough to, like, it didn't stop his goal.
Well, he truly believes he's doing good for the universe.
Yeah. That's the classic 101 of acting as a villain. Villains don't think they're villains. And it's cool how the Thanos character in this movie, when he recognized that he had to kill her and he really did care for her, it was a touching moment, because in reality, Gamora never thought he actually liked her. It was just, an adopted daughter that he fucked with. But the fact that Red Skull is saying, oh, it's you, he really does care for you, that's a touching moment for Gamora in a weird sort of way, because now she realizes he really did love her.
And the thing is, she was in denial, too. She was like, no, that's impossible.
So in a weird sort of way, it was kind of like, that was more touching to me than seeing Peter Parker go away, or Groot, or, Iron Man getting stabbed. It was weird. Like, that to me was more moving than the other stuff.
I mean, it was an emotional scene, but I never really liked... again, I'm really biased to Spider-Man. Thanos, he's all powerful and yada yada, and the whole Guardians of the Galaxy people. It never tooted my horn. I'm still very impressed with Disney on how they took these essentially B-rated comic books and made it into such an amazing franchise right now. Because
Right.
if you look at it, the reason why the Avengers was formed, in my opinion, that Captain America comics weren't doing too well. Iron Man comics weren't doing too well. Thor comics weren't doing too well. Neither was the Hulk comics. And they're like, let's put them all together as a team and
Right.
make this universe. And it was just like, and it popped, you know. And it was just like the comics did really well doing that. So, and then Disney, that was all they had when they bought Marvel. They didn't have Spider-Man. They didn't have X-Men, which were the better franchises. That's why the other ones weren't touched it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So when they took it and they made them into these movies, you're just like, damn, man. You know, like, it was just so good.
Yeah. What about like Peter? All right, let's focus on the Spider-Man in this universe.
Sure.
Did you get a chance to read the Miles Morris version of Spider-Man and all that?
Well, I know for a fact that his friends in this universe, the Peter Parker's friends, are Miles Morales' friends.
Exactly.
They
That's
are.
what it feels like. It's implied.
No, they are.
And so,
Like, same names and everything. They are his friends.
Yeah. It's so like when we talk about the buildup of Spider-Man, like we've already got the Iron Man suit or the Iron Spider suit,
Which was great. I was really happy with that.
I was just gonna say you wanted that.
Of course.
Okay.
I'm still upset the fact that Peter didn't make his first costume and it was all Tony Stark. Like, Tony Stark's playing this father character right now.
I feel like
and
we had that discussion before.
We did, and
Okay.
you're thinking that he's gonna die and it's gonna make Peter, like, you know, it's like the Uncle Ben thing all over again. But
Right.
what do you think? Tony's gonna go with great power comes great responsibility. That's the thing we're missing with the Spider-Man 2. We never heard that. We never got to see that emotion. Like, to me, that was like the origin story of Peter Parker was just it to me is a great story.
Yeah. Well, it's tough because how many times have we talked about something where they introduced a character, like, let's take Batman, for example. Gotham, all the Batman movies, they always go back to that alley.
They do. We didn't need it. We did not need to see it again.
Right. And so with Spider-Man, this is like the first time, it's almost like they took that and said, okay, we don't need to see it, so everybody knows his story, let's move on.
That's why they did it that way, yeah.
Yeah.
But little flashbacks or something would be great.
It's true. It's true. Well, that's why I said, if I agree with you, the Iron Man replacement of Uncle Ben doesn't really work for me.
I don't think that's what they're doing.
But in a way it is, because the universe, well, it gets a bigger thing for me, because this whole thing started with Iron Man and the Iron Man movie. So to me, it's fitting that it all surrounds Iron Man. I mean, the one constant that glues all of these movies together is essentially Iron Man, right?
Yes.
So it's kind of, in a weird sort of way, Iron Man is the father figure of all of this universe. Like, all this web that they've created, all Iron Man's involved in all of it.
Have you ever listened to someone did an interview with one of the new Avengers? It could have been Ant-Man. Forgot his name. He was the only one not in the movie, by the way, and Hawkeye. But Hawkeye, I think, is done. Jeremy Renner,
Really?
I think he's done. But Ant-Man, I think he wasn't in it because they're going to explain in the new movie Ant-Man and Wasp. It's coming out in a month or two. Too many Marvel movies. Can't have too many Marvel movies. What are you talking about? So when Ant-Man, the actor, I forgot his name, Paul Rudd. There we go.
Yeah.
When he joined the forces, he said Tony Stark gave me a call, or Robert Downey Jr. gave me a call, and he just told him what's going to happen, how we're going to do this, and like he foreruns it, you know, like he gets ahead of it, and he just takes it as a family, like he's like the leader essentially, like just how he is in the movies,
From
like
behind the scenes.
from behind the scenes. So here's my question: is actually who are they going to hand it off to? Because they're not going to have Iron Man do it forever.
No, I mean, well, like I said, I think there's multiple versions of it, but Ant-Man, I believe, is what becomes the leader of the Avengers at some point. So
I think I remember that.
It's
Yeah,
like Ant-Man, Wasp,
everyone
Scarlet
leads them
Witch,
eventually.
Scarlet Witch.
Well, everyone joins the Avengers eventually.
Who's that?
Everyone joins the Avengers.
Yeah. No, but what I'm saying is there's you know how there's the essentials like Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, Hulk. What I'm saying is Ant-Man becomes the essential one, Wasp, you still have Falcon, you still have Vision. So they've built all those characters already. They're ready to go. They've already all been introduced. So it would be real easy for them to get rid of the originals now.
Well, I wonder if they're going, when Captain Marvel joins, if she's going to take up the mantle, because that would be a huge push into the new direction of the new modern era of comics.
Yeah.
And that would be the direction they'd be going, and Captain Marvel would take up the mantle, which she does too as well. So they could be pushing for her to do it, and not have Bucky Barnes take up Captain America, and not do that whole story. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But they could. That could be a Captain America movie. You know what I mean?
Yep, I can see that easily. Absolutely.
Captain Marvel is going to be a big part of this universe.
Yeah. It's for the Avengers movie itself. It's funny because I didn't get a chance to see it a second time yet, like I wanted to. But I feel like what I appreciated about it is it hit the ground running. It wasn't like they dragged it out. Like action started right away. They didn't waste any time getting through the plot. It wasn't like Harry Potter Part 1 or Part 2. It was like Thanos got all the stones right away by the end of the movie. You know, he got his way, he got his vision. It was Thanos' movie from beginning to end. He worked for it, he got them all, he got his vision.
And he finished, and he got it.
Yeah.
He succeeded.
Which I thought was cool. You know, in a weird sort of way, it was a good ending to a movie because it had a beginning, middle, and end. It just wasn't on the hero's side.
No, it wasn't, and it ended so so nicely, so musically, I guess you could say. It came to an end, and you were just like, well, he got his happy ending, and now the Avengers are like, what's next, kind of thing.
Right. So let me ask you this: do you think when the people that quote unquote died, did they actually? I mean, is it implied that they actually did die? Thanos just wiped out half the people of everywhere, or do you think alternate universes, or what do you think?
I don't think they're going to do the alternate universe thing just yet, so I think they're dead. Everyone's dead. Everyone that disappeared is dead.
And we talked about it too before we did the podcast, obviously. But I found it interesting that all the essential original characters are the only ones that did not disappear. And in a weird sort of way, if the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going to eventually write out these characters, these actors in particular, I thought it was very tastefully done that they are around to finish the Avengers Thanos story. So when the second one comes out, they are still there. They're right there from the beginning. And if they die, but they get a chance to be seen right away.
They started it, and they're going to finish it.
And they're going to finish it, right. Yeah, because I think we talked about, too, I don't mean to harp on Star Wars so much, but I think the reason why everyone loved and hated the new Star Wars movies is the fact that you had the essential characters of Luke, Han, and Leia, the actors themselves. They all had we really had an opportunity to see all three of them in action, and they kind of did this hodgepodge thing, and no one really got to see them all together one final time, working together. I think that upset a lot of people, and now that opportunity can never happen, especially the way they wrote it. Even if, actors weren't dying off, you still can't do it with the way they wrote the stories.
You're right.
And it's unfortunate. I think, it's interesting how, I'd be curious to see, we're getting off subject a little bit, but Disney owns both properties. They own Marvel, they own Lucasfilm. Marvel is doing it right, and 100% right, whereas Star Wars, I feel like they're dropping the ball. I'd be curious if Disney starts to step in and maybe play shuffle around who's in charge of certain aspects of Lucasfilm, because I feel like it's not the same caliber. Like, when you watch a Disney movie, whether it's Pixar or their actual animation studio or Marvel, there's something to be said about Disney's quality, that they stay true to form for whatever that genre is, whether it's Pixar. Like, you know what to expect from a Pixar movie. You know what to expect from a Marvel movie. You know what to expect from a Star Wars movie, but we're not getting it. And I'm wondering if Disney's going to maybe try to change that, because everything else in the company seems to be doing all right. You know what I mean?
Yeah. As of right now, I don't believe they're going to mess with Marvel. They may try to take from the same pool.
No, I mean, I think they're going to take a page out of Marvel because Marvel
Hopefully.
is right.
I mean,
But
they didn't mess with
Lucasfilm's
the company. You know, they bought it, and then it's just like these people are in place, and they're not going to mess with that. They're essentially operating as their own company. They're just Disney's bringing in the money.
Well, I'd be curious to see because, like I said, I feel like they let Marvel run with it, and Marvel's doing a bang-up job. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah.
You know,
and so they want
a good job.
They want Star Wars to do the same thing. They want Star Wars to do a bang-up job. I mean, right now, Star Wars is just relying on its name right now to sell tickets.
Right. But I'm saying, how long will Disney allow it to flounder, is what I'm getting at, before they say, enough's enough?
I don't know. We're going to see. This was episode 9, right?
Well, they're watching Solo like a hawk.
But I mean, episode 10 comes out, what, next year?
No, it was episode 8 that just came out. It'd be episode 9, and that's the end of it.
Okay.
Yeah, but Solo movie, that one, I think Disney in particular is watching for it because
it's a unique movie.
Well, I think a lot of fans were pissed off about Last Jedi, and they're already talking about boycotting and all this stuff. So
they're not going to boycott it. Come on.
Oh yeah. No, well, you'd be surprised. There's a lot of people that are not going to go see it. But, I don't know. Anyways, we're getting way off track of Avengers. So, Avengers, I was surprised, and pleasantly so, of Doctor Strange's character. Because, again, he, like you said, these random characters that no one really cares about, he probably had, like, one of the most important roles of this entire movie.
Absolutely. Well, he had one of the stones. He had the reality, or the time stone.
But he also, correct me if I'm wrong, but he felt like he was the only one that knew really how to handle this. You got the Guardians of the Galaxy in space saying, no offense, dude, but let us handle it. You've got Tony Stark saying, it's my burden, ever since New York was attacked, I gotta take care of it. But really, you have Doctor Strange. He's the only one that's like, I actually saw how to defeat him, and this is what we need to do.
Let me ask you.
Yeah.
Do you think he saw what happened? Maybe that's why he gave the stone over. How
Absolutely.
he saw this whole thing happening, and maybe he saw that we're going to get, if we do it this way, Captain Marvel is going to come, and then the plan will still be in place. Like, he saw who was going to die and all that.
Didn't think about the Captain Marvel aspect, but that's a good point. But I did think, yes.
He said he saw millions of ways.
He knew that he had to kill himself and all these other, yes. He knew that in order to be successful, he could not exist.
And he had to pass it off. Like, he had to give the stone over. Tony had to get stabbed. Like, he saw all that. You know what I mean? Like, even though he probably didn't tell them the whole plan, because that's Doctor Strange's needed he just told what they needed to hear.
Exactly. Yeah.
To 100%. Make the plan work.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, think about all the Marvel movies that came out up until this point, and to leave it with Doctor Strange as the ultimate, I don't know how you would describe it, the guy with the ultimate plan on defeating Thanos is very interesting.
I'm waiting for when more Avenger movies comes out, or other movies, and they're like, oh, well, who's this character? Well, you gotta watch these movies. Like, I'm waiting for at the end of the credits to say, watch these movies to catch up, or something, because there's already, almost 19 or 18 movies of Marvel out there.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, I've lost track of the order in which they go myself. I'd have to go back and look it up online.
Well, you could probably watch Avengers 1, 2, and 3 and be okay. You can watch Captain America 1, 2, and 3. And, you just, as you watch 1, 2, and 3, you're like, oh, okay. And as you watch others, you're like, the movies work, but at the same time, that's what's so great about them. They work by themselves, as long as you watch them in their sequels. You don't watch Captain America 2 to start the series. But you watch 1, 2, and 3 and go, oh, those characters are kind of cool. Let's watch. Just like when you read the comics. Like, I really like Spider-Man. Now I'm going to read Captain America. Oh, the Avengers? I'll read the Avengers version. It's just stories. How they all ended up where they were.
Yeah, and I appreciated Stan Lee's cameo in this one as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. I thought the villains were done very well. The Kree villain and I don't remember the pale gray-faced guy was really good.
Right. That guy.
That guy. I liked the dynamic between some of the characters. Because remember, I think we talked about it in a couple of other podcasts where when you have a lot of gimmicky or quirky characters, like we have what is it, Star-Lord, we have Spider-Man, we have Ant-Man, although Ant-Man wasn't in this one. But we've got our witty, goofball characters. When you have so many of them in one movie, how does it work when they all play off of each other? Is it too much or not? But it seems that they passed it off pretty well.
They separated them. That's how they did it.
Yeah.
So let's hear.
Gamora's the only one that really did die in theory,
like,
right?
physically getting killed in person. Yes.
Yeah.
I think she'll be back.
Yeah. And the idea of Red Skull, I love that.
Oh, that was so great seeing Red Skull in the movie.
Yeah.
I just thought it was great. Like, they had these characters and they're just using them. It was like in the comics, you read it and go, oh, where'd that guy come from? What the hell?
Yeah.
Like, they're actually using everybody.
Yeah, everybody that watched the first Captain America and saw him get evaporated or whatever, it was so cool because I love how they had that right from the get-go where it looked like the Bifrost. Like, to me, when I saw that movie, I go, that's the Bifrost. He's not dead. And do you remember when you watched Captain America the first time?
Yeah.
So I was always waiting and or hoping he would come back. And they did. They brought him back.
There you
that
go.
Scene, at least. So it was really cool. So, anyways, I don't know. Do you have anything else you want to, like, final thought?
Yeah, I was going to say, do you have any final thoughts? That went well. That went well. Yeah, I'm asking you.
Overall, I did like the movie. I didn't feel that twinge of fear for any of the characters, though. And again, I think it's just because I knew that I just like the Finnegan thing. You know, like once someone gets it, it's all over.
You know what's going to happen. I mean, the heroes are going to win.
Some of the stuff I thought was kind of ridiculous was actually some of the Thor things, because I know he's like the god of thunder, and I guess he's a deity in a way, but like the whole idea of him getting blasted by a sun so he can forge his hammer and stuff, like hold the rings open. Like, if he can do that much, like, now, like, why is he getting his ass kicked on Earth? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, just because he fights more battles, he just becomes even stronger. Like, it just seemed like his character went from one extreme to another. Like, how can he still get beat up by Hulk in Thor Ragnarok or whatever it's called, but then all of a sudden he can take the power of a sun and hold an entire space station open while they forge his hammer?
Determination.
I guess so. But physical form. I
don't know, but bringing that up too, remember Loki got killed too right in the beginning.
That's right. And we don't think it was a fake death. Even Thor says that.
Yeah. So is he going to come back as well? Who knows? We don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Good point. Good job.
Well, I know we're running out of long time, but I really thought when all these movies led up, they had armies. Like, Thor had all of Asgard. I thought that whole army. You have
Asgard got destroyed.
I know, but my point is, before this movie happened, I thought, like, Thor had his army. The Guardians of the Galaxy had all the Ravengers in space. You had Nova Corps, all those ships and all those guys from Nova Corps. You had,
Wakanda.
Black Panther. Yeah, all those guys.
Wakanda forever.
And you technically have all the agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I was thinking, like, all of these massive groups are going to come together and fight. No, like, Thor's people are literally obliterated in the first scene. It's crazy.
Well, they were kind of like decimated during Ragnarok.
Well, but the remainder of them also got decimated in the beginning of this movie.
Yeah.
So even those people didn't make it.
Correct.
Like, Thor's an endangered species now.
Yes. Yes, he is.
It's crazy.
All of mankind is an endangered species now, but anyways.
Yeah, so, okay, final thoughts on your end. Sorry.
Can't wait for the next one. I can't say really real final thoughts. You're left blank. You're kind of wondering what's going to happen next. We're going to see Ant-Man and Wasp, and then we're going to see Captain Marvel, and then we're going to see Avengers. Like, we're going to do 4 movies.
So, prediction, real quick. If it came down to one Avenger, which Avenger is going to be the one that ultimately does Thanos in? Because you know they're not going to have all of them do it. It's going to be one person.
It'll probably be Tony Stark.
Yeah, Iron Man. I agree.
Yeah.
Because he started it, he'll probably be the one to finish it. And
he'll probably die with it. You know what I mean?
Well, remember, I think it was in the second movie or New York where he had the vision of all of them dead. Was it Avengers?
Second one.
Okay.
I think it was the second one because
Because
Thor leaves at the end of the second Avengers, and then they had Civil War.
Right, but because then Iron Man 3 comes out and he's got all those like anxiety issues.
Yeah, I think Tony Stark's gonna finish it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, cool. All right, well, I think that's it for now, right?
Yeah.
So thanks for listening to Entertainment Banter. I'm Matt.
I'm Joel. I'm the other Joel, and I'm done.
My outros are better than Joel's. Don't believe me? Watch the next video.